right, folks, inflation is here to stay. I hate to be the bearer of that news, but until some of the economic factors begin to shift, inflation is here to stay. I'm not going to focus on that in this segment. I talk about this all the time on the show. You could go to YouTube and search, and you can see what I think about the economy and all this stuff. But I do want to focus on one piece of this, and this is this. There's another issue, another point of tension, if you will, between the American worker and the American leader, the business leader. A lot of tension, and the media loves to keep it going. We got all these snowflake TikTokers and Instagrammers that are constantly, griping about having to go to work. Now, listen, let me just say this. I am not anti-remote work. People think that I am. I'm not. I don't think it's for everybody, but this hybrid model of work is now the dominant model. So on this topic, a lot of people are complaining about going back to the office. And the big reason is now that they're saying it is too expensive to commute to the office. Okay, now this is the latest whining and griping in the American workforce. I don't want to go back in because it's too expensive. So new data. Owl Labs did a survey, and hybrid workers are saying that they spend an average of $51 a day when they go into the office. Now, this is an average. It cracks me up when I give data like this. This is real data, folks. It's not my opinion. I'm not just making this up, pulling this out of my ear. People go, well, I spend way more than that. I know, Snowflake. I just said it's the average. The comments in Instagram, it's like, I spend 80. I said it's the average. Okay, back to the report. That number of $51 a day, average for people who go into the office. They're saying, this is my expenditure when I go in, okay, versus stay home. So that's the next piece of data. Those who say that they stay home are only spending $36 a day working from home. Now, I don't buy it, okay, because let me tell you what happened during 2020 and 2021 when the federal government extended unemployment benefits and was sending cash to Americans. What Americans didn't do was save the money. What Americans did do was spend it. So I don't buy it that if you work from home, you spend $15 less. I think you're spending it on Amazon. I think you're going to get ice cream when you walk the dog. I think you're doing all these things, which, by the way, you can do whatever you want to do. But this idea that we're griping over $15 a day. Now I say, oh, Ken, that adds up. Yeah, but this is the cost of living, having a freaking job. You got to get there. Daily expenses for hybrid workers include an average of, these are averages, $8 for parking, $13 on breakfast and coffee, $16 on lunch, and $14 on commuting. Those who need pet care spend an extra $20 a day. You need to get you a dog that can be in a crate or not pee and poop all over the house. $20 a day for pet care. Again, you know, look, I'm sure I've offended somebody there, but again, I've got the greatest dog in the world, by the way. I don't talk enough about my dog, Ellis. I need Nathan to have a picture of Ellis so that when I talk about Ellis, we can pop him up on the screen. He's beautiful golden doodle. This is the most beautiful dog you've ever seen. He's got a white coat. He's fluffy and furry. He's fantastic, okay? You know, one of the many reasons that Ellis is a great dog, because I let Ellis out in the morning, give him his treat, make sure his food and water are filled. He's great, love on him a little bit. And my wife works from home, so she's there a lot. But when we have to be gone for 7 or 8 hours, do you know what Ellis doesn't do? Ellis doesn't chew anything up. He doesn't crap and pee all over the place. He's fine. So I don't need to pay somebody $20 a day for a good dog. If you've got a pet that costs you $20 a day when you're at work, I got news for you. You got the wrong pet. But there we go. Now that I'm trying to offend everybody that I possibly can today. Okay, so number one, $13 on breakfast. Go to the grocery store, make yourself an egg omelet. I mean, I can beat that. I can beat $13 for breakfast every day of the week, twice on Sunday. If you're going out for breakfast, that's one thing. By the way, I don't care what McDonald's tells you, their breakfast is not good for you. Oh, man. Who else have I got to line up to offend today? This is exciting. Don't tell me that Egg McMuffin is natural. Ain't nothing natural about an Egg McMuffin. Might as well just be eating cancer. This is the cost of living. So here's what people are saying. I can't go in. I've got to tell my leader that you're asking me to come back to the office, and this is a hybrid model, folks, 2-3 days a week, and you get to work from home 2 or 3 days a week, and you're going, it's too expensive. And yet, we have more credit card debt than we've ever had in this country. We had student loan payments paused for years, and people didn't pay the balance down. So don't tell me that you can't come to the office because it's costing you $51 a day average versus $36 a day. You can't do it. It's too expensive. Because here's what I know. You're at home, and while you're at home working, you're on Amazon shopping. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Now, why does this matter? Again, I'm not anti-remote work. I'm certainly not anti-hybrid work. But these kind of excuses, it's nuts. It's bananas. Well, what are you doing with your money? Now, commuting long distances is very expensive if you're driving. I've had calls. Listen, I took a call the other day with Dave Ramsey. Guy calls in. We're on the Ramsey show. The guy says, Ken, Dave, I got a scenario for you. I'm driving round trip 3 hours a day. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I cut the guy off. I'm like, I don't even care what the rest of the question is. You got to stop that. Life is too short to be in the car 3 hours a day. Well, you say, well, Ken, we love where our kids are, their schools, our church, our neighbors, our family. I go, absolutely. So we change jobs. Well, no, I love the work. The guy says, I love the job. He says, well, change your zip code. Well, remember all those stuff? No, listen. The amount of stress, and I've covered this on the show previously. You could look it up on YouTube. I've covered the amount of stress that long commutes cause people. So instead of focusing on what the financial cost of the commute is, the longer commutes where we're talking, let's just for sake of discussion say over 45 minutes or so, when it gets to be that long, now we've got a problem because there is stress. Stress when traffic happens, mental and emotional stress when you go, I have to get up this early. I see less and less of my family. Let me just tell you something right now. I wouldn't recommend that kind of commute if it was just me and Stacy and we were empty nesters. I got 3 teens right now. I can't fathom the idea. I hardly see them as it is. They're teenagers, for crying out loud. So everybody's getting up in the morning. I get to see a couple of them in the morning, depending on the schedule. And folks, I have a very good balance in my work schedule. But I still don't see my kids. I can't imagine getting up at 4:35 a.m., driving an hour and a half, and then getting to work, dealing with all the stuff at work, then get in the car and drive another hour and a half. I mean, life is short. We know, by the way, from data, that the average American spends, you ready for this? This is going to blow your mind. 90,000 hours at work in their lifetime. 90,000 hours. So I will tell you this, and I'm the guy that says, get in your sweet spot. The dream job is real. It's as simple as saying, I'm using what I do best to do what I love to produce results that matter to me, and I'm spending about 80% of my day doing it. That's the dream job, by the way. It's not like I want to be in the NBA or an NBA, NFL quarterback. That's what the culture is called a dream job, but that's not. That's a unicorn that's just nonsensical. But as much as I'm for that, I am not going to say that I'm going to spend so much of my life. Now, listen, that's 3 hours a day. You start doing that times 5 days a week, and then 4 weeks a month, and 52 weeks a year. You are spending more than the 90,000 hours attached to work. That is an absolute guarantee for frustration and then desperation. It will catch up to you. So I told the guy, so it's going to catch up to you. You might think you can do it now, but you keep missing this, you keep missing this. You go through a season of frustration at work, which happens for everybody. It's going to weigh on you. There's a big difference between a 3-hour commute and a 20-minute commute. So this is less about the financial cost. This is more about the emotional, mental, and physical cost, because we know that when we're struggling emotionally and mentally, that the body releases all that stress in us and it begins to break down our immune system. That's where it starts, by the way. By the way, have you ever met anybody that's really stressed out that's healthy? You don't. And so that's why this matters. So really interesting stuff. We're focusing too much on the things that don't matter. I'd rather adjust my budget than I would put myself in a situation where I may lose my job because I'm not willing to go in. I can adjust my budget. I can't just go, nope, not coming in here. Now I got to get a job over here. I can't do that. It's not possible. So it's time for the American worker to go, you know what? I got to be an adult and I can make adult decisions and life can get better. This is the Ken Coleman Show.